you can open your eyes. So would somebody like to share what happened in this short meditation? If you're interested to share, you just wave your hand.
Yeah. Should I say something? Yeah.
Of course.
Also,
It's funny, Pavali, I was going to invite you actually, but you invited very good.
Yeah, I'm sitting outside here. The seminar group is around me because we have not really space where to go. And the mosquitoes are biting like hell. And so it was not really possible to go deeper. I would have more time maybe to relax into the situation of biting mosquitoes and talking seminar group. But I'm very happy to join the satsang, that we can manage it here to do.
So you're in for a busy weekend. You're down in Denya, yeah? You're in our house in Denya. Yeah. And I'm told the weather is very beautiful there.
Yeah, it's really, really nice and hotter every day.
Right, right.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah. It's also a very nice group. It's a Kundalini rising group.
Okay.
So we will see what happens.
Good, good. And you're cooking for the group?
Yeah.
With how many people?
17.
17. Okay, good. So that's very easy for you.
Yeah, it's a good number.
You can do that with your eyes closed, I think.
Yeah, and mosquitoes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Amrita.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay.
Now we're going to see you. Okay.
I felt like a lot of energy at my third eye, and then it was moving from my third eye to my heart, and I felt a pressure on my heart, like a lot of pressure on my heart, and it was like moving somehow from there to there. I don't know.
Good. Okay. And was it still like that at the end when you were allowing yourself to go deeper?
Yeah, then it was like spiraling more, like the energy was like spiraling or something. It was like a little bit like falling and like, yeah.
Okay. Okay. And now, how are you feeling right now?
Feel like very like vibrating, like more energy than before, like yeah, very alive. I feel very alive.
Good. Okay. Okay. So let's go back to the gallery. Okay. I think Kiran wants to share. Looks like the fog has got as far as Dania.
Yeah, the quality of my phone is not so good. The computer is still broken. So I'm talking from my phone. And during the meditation here, there was a lot of noise from the group and from people running around. But this was yeah, just how to say, it was there was no thoughts. It was just yeah, something strong happening. And in the moment I wanted to I was like aware of it. Any kind of awareness, any kind of words wouldn't describe it, wouldn't hit it. Yeah. So this, I don't know what to say, but it was anything to be aware of, anything to say. is not, is it not? Yeah. So just then, just falling into this strong movements or strong the sounds, and just falling into. Yeah, I don't know if I'm clear, but it was just if there is no thoughts, then just to try to express it or to realize it. Then thoughts come, and then everything is destroyed in a way. And maybe I just talk bullshit. I don't know, but I just wanted to connect.
Good. Nice you can laugh, yeah?
Yeah.
And during the day, do you sometimes have the same feelings that you're talking about? The same energy moving as you're talking about?
I had it not. Yeah, energy moving because of the whole body is moving and with a lot of energy. Yeah, but then there's like thoughts directing and thinking what to do now, what to do next. But then right before the meeting, I went for a swim, and suddenly there was silence. It was just joy in the water. It was really nice. But during the day, there's a lot. When in the morning I wake up, then there's already thoughts, what to do and how to do, and what to say, and how to manage, and something like this. So the intense process is also process in the mind.
For those of you who don't know Kieran, he's been living in our community for 8 years, 28 years.
28 years, 6.5. Yeah, six, 7 years. Yeah.
And he actually is a very, very good musician. Most of you will know that. But what most of you probably don't know is that he's become a construction manager. And he's looking after the refurbishment of our Spanish house. So he has a very busy day to get things happening. And he's contacting with me every day as well. Usually I get an email about midnight from him. Or maybe not so late.
No, but
good. Anyway, yeah.
Okay.
Nice. So I see Victoria there. Haven't seen her for some time. Would you like to share,
Hello.
Victoria?
I felt emptiness, I think. Like there was a dark room, and I felt in this darkness. And always when I started meditating, I feel always like I'm gonna have a heart attack because my heart started like beating very fast, still beating very fast. And yeah, I felt the energy going to the third eye and get back to the heart. So yeah.
Good, yeah. Nice to see you again. Are you still around next weekend?
I will come.
Are we going to see you next weekend?
We mantra, and then yes, I will come.
Yeah. Are you around this weekend? Because you remember we invited you to.
Greece.
You're in Greece this weekend. Okay.
I'm in Greece this weekend. Yes.
Okay. Are you in Greece now? Are you speaking from Greece?
I'm sitting in the hotel room.
Wow.
Yes, I'm sitting in the hotel room.
I'm very impressed for you to come on this meeting in your holidays. Very good.
Yeah. So the whole hotel are dancing and having a party outside, but I decided to enjoy the Satsang.
Okay, very nice. All right. Good to see you again. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else like to wave their hand before I have to start volunteering you? We haven't heard from Dimar for a long time. He's very kindly translating the Russian for the Russian guys. Or I should say, I have to be very careful now. I mean Ukrainian guys.
Сейчас говорю про украинских ребят. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
During the meditation, I could relax and kind of join to this energy of the group and fall into some space. It was really hard to come back then and open an eyes. Yeah, it was nice.
And are you talking from London, or where are you at the moment?
Yeah, I'm still in London.
Okay, so thank you for sending me the card, the telephone card.
Yeah,
I've got it, finally got it, thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, so maybe one more. Maybe somebody else I don't know so well. I think Yojan, we'll ask Yojan, would you like to share? I don't think I met you before. Maybe I've met you, but I don't remember where. If you say a few words, then we'll come on to you.
Okay. Do you hear me?
I can hear you, yes, yes.
Could you hear me? Yeah. Okay. No, I don't think we met before. I can't remember. So.
Okay. Most people remember me because I'm such a terrible guy, you know. So if you don't remember, I'm pretty sure we haven't met.
Okay. So what I experienced is when I went deeper, the strongest sensation was in my stomach and deeper, and I felt the tension and just allowed it to be. Nothing. I didn't try. I had it before, and I tried to change it and to let the tension go away. But this time, I could relax into the tension. So that's what I experienced.
Good. Yeah. I mean, in a way, the most essential ingredient of this meditation is to not do anything, you know, just to bring your awareness to whatever is the strongest and not try to change anything, just a deep acceptance of what is.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, good. Good. So, so I'm going to ask Om to show a little film now. You've already maybe seen it on your Zoom email, but recently in the community, we've started offering small, about 1 or 2 minute videos, which you can, if you're interested to see them, they're on TikTok.
And in TikTok.
TikTok. I don't know what TikTok is, but it sounds kind of cute. Yeah. So Om and Padma are now specializing in putting up these little videos. And I think you're going to see from this one that they have really a talent for how they edit it, So let's put it quite big if you can. It's only 1 minute. Do I need to click on play? Ah, here we are. Can you make it bigger?
You have to pull it a bit bigger on your own screen.
Ah, okay. Oh, yeah, let's have it really big. Go back to the beginning then, and then we've got it really big now. We were brought up in our families
to believe that what society is offering us is the life. And around this life, this society life, there's a few funny people called artists. And then around the other side, there's a few funny guys called revolutionaries or political somethings or terrorists or something, yeah? But in the middle, there's a big kind of habit, enormous habit. And we're all brought up inside this habit. We have a mummy, we have a daddy, we have a family, we have a job, we have a car, we have a house and a mortgage. We work for our whole life to pay off the mortgage. If we're lucky, we retire with a little pension and we go to live in Spain or something. And then, like happy little robots who have been nicely conditioned, we just then do that life, you see. Why do you want to live in prison? Why not do what you really want to do?
So I don't know whether this is going to be received very well on TikTok, but anyway, we're in the process of wanting to shake things up a bit and reach out into these media companies like Twitter and Facebook and TikTok and all this stuff, where I never go. I've never been on any of these sites anyway, not for more than 5 or 10 minutes. So I have no idea really what's out there, but I was told by some of our younger guys that nobody can watch for more than maybe 1 minute, maybe 2 if you're really lucky. So in the past, we used to put up on YouTube, you know, even 1.5 hour videos. And we thought, wow, you know, this is really great, 1.5 hours, yeah. And probably almost nobody ever watched these films, you see, when nobody ever watched them. So now we're trying to start again from a different angle. So instead of 1.5 hours, now we're going to 1.5 minutes. This is the new generation. No time, no much interest. So if you are interested, because if you're on this screen tonight, of course you are interested, have a look on TikTok, and I think there's now about 10 of these small videos. So each one is a kind of provocation. So enjoy being provocated. Okay. So again, I'm going to ask, maybe I won't ask actually, maybe I'll talk a bit. So this is a kind of very basic beginning of spirituality, you can say. Yeah. As you go about your normal life, like in a party in a Greek hotel, for example, we all know what's likely to be going on there, and, yeah? So without even realizing it, because it's so natural, we live the life exactly as it's been conditioned in our family. Most of us, as I've said in the film, most of us come from this family situation. Everybody finds it completely normal. Everybody goes through a strong conditioning process in that family. And what comes out at the other end when we're maybe 18 or 20 is what we've been suggested every minute of maybe 20 years, every minute of 20 years, without any speeches, without any talks maybe, but just in the workings of everyday life in the family, we come to have some kind of ideas about what it is, what is the life, yeah? And most people actually never really challenge that. And therefore, most people don't kind of go on a spiritual journey, because the essence of a spiritual journey is some kind of understanding that how you've been conditioned is not really authentic. It's not really fitting to what you can feel inside. So for very, very few people, well, I should say most people are accepting this conditioning and they lead the life that they've been suggested. And occasionally you read the biography of a famous artist or a famous revolutionary, or even somebody like Steve Jobs, a famous sort of technological wonder man. I guess everybody on this screen has a phone in their pocket tonight. And now part of the conditioning of society is that you carry this phone. And I don't remember now exactly, but I think about 15 years ago, this phone didn't exist. Is that right? Or was it a bit longer? So only 15 years ago. Can you imagine? Can you really understand that? 15 years is such a tiny little, I remember years ago I was living in Australia and I used to do kind of weekend retreats. And we used to go, I was living in Sydney, and we'd go up the coast, maybe 10 people. I'd rent a house in this beautiful village. It was called Pearl something, I can't remember now. And it was a beautiful small beach, many, many holiday houses, so we could always find a house to rent. And I remember one weekend, we attracted the main clown from the Circus du Soleil. I think it's called the Circus du Soleil. Is that right? So he was the main clown, and he came to our weekend. And he was American, and during the weekend, he tried to explain to me that quite soon we would be able to carry some small technology, and with this technology, we would be able to make a telephone call all around the world for free. And he also told me that on this technology, we would be able to access almost all the information that exists on this planet. And he was completely, although he was the clown, he was completely hoping and expecting that this device would show up soon. And I thought he was just crazy. I thought he was completely crazy. How is it possible that you can take out of your pocket some small device and be able to connect all around the world within seconds or minutes? And of course, now this kind of phone is completely ordinary. We only realize, I think, well, I only realize that it's completely ordinary when I go to India, you know. I don't know if many of you, I think, have been to India, and when you take a rickshaw, you know, there's little putt-putt, very noisy little kind of moped-driven taxis that you can find all over India. There are millions of them. And every driver now has an iPhone. Well, not an iPhone maybe, but he has a smartphone. And this is amazing. You can't really imagine it. When I have been spending time in India most of my life, you can never imagine that somebody like a rickshaw driver would be carrying this kind of phone. And it's so wonderful, because then as you come there now to India, you can meet your favorite guy and get his phone number. And whenever you need a taxi, you call him up. And so you get a kind of very nice relationship. And of course, in India, there are literally billions of people, very ordinary people going about their day, and they carry some kind of phone. So I'm always shocked when I see that in India, that this technology, which when I was in Australia only, I don't know, maybe now it's 20 years ago or something like that, I was introduced to this possibility and I couldn't imagine it. I couldn't even imagine what this thing could be. And now, you know, we all got one, bigger or smaller. I remember for myself that when these things came out, I quickly got a small one that I could put in my pocket. And then later I heard that they brought out a big one. I've forgotten what it's called now, but maybe it's called iPhone Pro or something, I don't know. But anyway, it's much bigger. And I had this judgment. I'm never going to carry a big phone like that. I much prefer something small that I can put in my hand, you see. And I remember one day, completely spontaneously, I went in a phone shop and looked at this much bigger phone, and I convinced the shopkeeper to make me a cardboard cutout of the phone. And I put it in my pocket and I said, okay, I'm going to put this in my pocket, I'm going to walk around, and if it seems sensible, I will come back and buy one, you see. But now, since years I've been carrying it, I don't even think of it as being a new style phone. For me, this is completely ordinary. And recently they brought out a bigger phone than this, but divided, folded into two, yeah. And once again, when that came out, I had a judgment, you know, I would never carry a big phone like that. They call it flip phone, I think, or something, yeah. And in the beginning, of course, if you remember, when these phones came out, it used to fold, and they had terrible trouble in the beginning that the phones which folded would break. They break down the fold. So it was a kind of scandal, yeah. But now the technology is working, and by having a flip phone, you can put in your pocket an enormous screen, which suits me a lot because I'm kind of running my life on one of these phones and I can run it wherever I am. So for me, it works wonderfully to have some kind of big screen in my pocket. So this is now something we can completely take for granted. And we will take it for granted if we haven't already taken it for granted. 15 years ago, apparently, there wasn't such a thing, you see. I can even remember, I think it's about now 30 years ago, I was living in India with Papaji, and there was a man, an Indian man, and he used to arrive after each meeting. He would arrive and he'd bring a pile of faxes, you see. And then, you know, he would take orders or take a message and he would send back a fax for us. And maybe next day he would bring the answer back to us. Yeah. So we get these sheets of paper from his fax machine. And I don't really know, but I guess hardly anybody would ever think of using a fax now. And it's the same with all the different technologies. You all know better than me about music, for example. In my day, when I was a sort of teenager, I mean, dare I say it, but it used to be great big discs, which were quite heavy, made out of some thick plastic stuff. And, you know, I used to collect them, so like many people. And then I would play it on a turntable. And nowadays, it's not like that, of course. Nowadays, it's simply a download in your phone. So this little box that this man was talking about is now full of all kind of stuff. Everything you want is in that phone or available through your phone. There's an enormous change in humanity. And as this becomes completely accepted, today I was in a cafe, that's right, I was in a cafe today having an ice cream, and there were these two beautiful little boys, about maybe 1.5 years old, twins, in a chair, with their mother. And I was looking at these kids and I suddenly realized one of them had an iPhone. Amazing, 1.5 years old. Beautiful in one way and a nightmare in another way. No. So all this stuff I'm talking about is not very spiritual in one way, but in another way, you have to see how conditioning is working. And it's very difficult to see this conditioning because we're completely inside it. We're completely inside it, you see, completely inside it. And then very rarely you get somebody like Picasso or somebody like Steve Jobs, somebody like Osho, who, when they're in their 20s, they find their way, whatever it is, and they develop something which they share with humanity, you see. And inside them, whatever they were conditioned to believe inside their brain, this gradually, you could say, is filtered away, you see. Steve Jobs, for example, a kind of priest of technology, he used to walk around even in the Apple office with no shoes and no socks. He liked to wear nothing on his feet. And I don't know if you know this, but he also used to wear a specially designed pair of jeans and a special, I think it was dark blue, it may have been black, I'm not sure, kind of turtlenecked t-shirt that was designed by the most famous Japanese designer, actually. And he only ever really wore those two things. So he must have had a cupboard, full of t-shirts, full of these jeans. So of course, every morning he didn't have to think about what he was going to wear because he had his own costume, you see. So I really love these people. I have to tell you, I really love people like Steve Jobs, just because you can feel this man is free, you see. He might not consider himself a spiritual person, although actually, as far as I understand, in fact, he was very connected to a man called Neem Karoli Baba. And many of the high technological people in America, like Steve Jobs, and I think one of the guys from Google and so on, they were very influenced by Neem Karoli Baba, who was the most amazing Indian guru. And he had, in a way, no teaching. So almost at the end of his life, he allowed American spiritual seekers to come to his small ashram and sit with him every day. He would sit on one of these Indian beds. I think they call it a tucket. And it's a kind of rope, has a kind of rope mattress, like this. And he would sit on this thing and the Americans would all sit in front of him. And basically that was it. He would just sit there looking at the people and people looking at him. And there would be this enormous energy and this enormous eye contact. And then if he really felt that was the right moment and he really liked you, he might throw you an apple or an orange. And that moment was like being given a Nobel Peace Prize or something. The people sitting there, when they got an apple or they got a banana or something, that was completely touching. So this guy, Neem Karoli Baba, was so powerful that there are many stories about him which we can't even believe. For example, there's a famous story about him sitting on a train, and this train stopped in a small village, and there was no station, and he was forced to get off the train because he didn't have a ticket. So he sat under a tree, and although they tried, they couldn't get the train to run. So it sat there for many, many hours, and whatever they tried, the engine driver couldn't get this train to run. Just wouldn't move. And at some point, they started to realize that this might be to do with Ninkaroli Baba, you see, sitting under a tree with a blanket. He used to go around with a big blanket over him. And so finally, you know, the officers of the railway came to him, and he said, well, I can probably get the train going for you, but you have to give me something in return. And you have to give me a small station. I want to have a station built for this village, you see. And then out of that, this village became, of course, a famous place. He got back on the train, and then it ran. That's it, you see. So this is a kind of incredible story for our minds, yeah, that it's possible for a man to have so much power that he can stop the train. Great story. I always love this story because it kind of makes Western people's minds freak out. This is a story especially for Jana, actually. A new friend, and we'll talk to her later, but she's a very esoteric lady, and so she'll love this story. I'm sure she'll love this story. There are stories also where Neem Karoni Baba would visit some devotee's house, and there are stories where he would go into a room which was then locked. So he was inside a locked room, and then he would show up in some other city, in some other situation, like a wedding. So he apparently had gone to somebody's wedding, but in fact, all the time he was sitting inside this locked room. How is it possible to be in two places at the same time? You see? Anyway, I think that's enough for Jana. She's pretty hungry, and so she's eating her dinner. So probably she's had enough of esoterics tonight. And maybe that story of the train, you can remember this, because this is something that can really shake your mind, you see. And unfortunately, what I'm saying tonight is that we don't even notice how incredibly conditioned we are. Because this conditioning is not done in a horrible way. This conditioning is done mostly by the people, Mummy and Daddy, who are supposed to be loving us the most. And maybe they do love us the most. And without really realizing what they're doing, they're putting us through an enormous conditioning. And you only have to walk out in any street, in any country, any slightly modern country, in any street, in any town, and look around, and you can exactly understand what I'm talking about. But it's not so easy to be an Osho or a Picasso or a Steve Jobs, you see. Because in order to be somebody like those guys, we need to let all that stuff disappear. We need to let it all go. And the only way we can let all this stuff go is through our awareness. We have to discover self-awareness, which is what we were doing today in the meditation. We have to use this ability of meditation, awareness, to gradually let all this conditioning disappear. And what happens? What happens? What's the result of that? The result of that is what happened in the end of this short film, where there was some guy diving deep into the ocean, you see, deep into the ocean. So this is only possible when you've let go of all the nonsense, which most people don't see as nonsense. They see it absolutely normal. I think we all know this. We all know this, so I'm not going to go on anymore. So I would like now to ask if anybody would like to share from their own understanding about this theme tonight. If you want, you can just shake your hand, wave your hand. I see you all rushing to share. Okay, Savita. Savita's become the community beekeeper, by the way.
Yeah. So for me, it's clear that I want to get rid of the conditionings from my family, but I ask myself, why is it so strong? But in a way, I really want to get rid of them, and then I think, what does it mean? Urteil in English?
Judgment.
Yeah, and then you also say that when we let go of our judgments, it's better. And I think it's a not good thing, those conditions. And we see that there are good things and bad things. And bad things, I have the view that the conditions are bad things, and I want to press them away. And this gets me a bit like it's getting complicated.
Yeah, it's complicated because actually it's not so easy, you know. First of all, we have to be aware of our conditioning, how our mind is holding these structures, you know. We have certain patterns, if you like, or a sentence, or, as you say, a judgment, some words, you know. And this is just in our mind, and then suddenly there's a situation, and without you knowing, it out pops this judgment, you know, like about black people or Jewish people or whatever it is, you know. There's so many judgments we're carrying around with us, these kind of big judgments, but also just little judgments.
But what about the judgment that conditions are bad?
Well, you know, investigate it for yourself. You've just been telling us that you want to get rid of your family's conditioning, so you're sort of repeating what I'm suggesting, and then you're saying, well, that's also a judgment. So if you play that game, nothing moves, you know, nothing moves. And if you want to know what the possibility is, then go inside and find the moment which was the most beautiful moment of your life. Because everybody on the screen tonight has had what you could call the most beautiful moment of their life. And this most beautiful moment is when all this kind of stuff in the mind, when that simply stops. When all these thoughts that are constantly normally arising and disappearing, and we're grabbing the thoughts, when this completely stops for some reason, you know, it may stop because there's a shock, you know, you have some kind of emotional shock, and then the mind stops. I mean, I had this happen to me yesterday, you see. So I had gone to the meeting in the school, I'd gone to a meeting in the morning in the school, and after that meeting, I had the feeling everything's going to be fine now for the girls to go to that school. Then we had a meeting in the afternoon with a completely new man who was the kind of boss of smaller kids. And then it turned out that was completely wrong, and he had a lot of what I would call negative things to say. And I was completely smashed. I was so smashed that I woke up at 3:30 in the morning, and suddenly the energy brought me a kind of an answer to this devastating meeting, you see. So I started on my phone in writing this, it sort of came through, you can say. I had been asleep a few minutes before, I woke up, there was this strong energy, And I got in touch with this situation in the school. It was a situation that deeply touched me because it involves the education of my girls. And so there was a whole stream, a whole stream of suggestions to how to respond to what had happened yesterday afternoon, you see. So it took me from 3:30 until 5 to write all this stuff. So I didn't sleep much last night. And right now, for example, after I'd been sitting in the garden with your honeybees, I think those honeybees had some effect on me actually, because I took this film, the film that I showed just before, is all the hundreds of bees flying in and all the hundreds of bees flying out. And there's an amazing energy now in the corner of the garden because this is a non-stop. I don't suppose they ever sleep, do they? I mean, I don't know, but it probably goes all night, all day and all night. These bees are arriving and leaving, and the ones that arrive come with a little small, tiny little dollop of honey, and the ones who are leaving empty with the intention of, flying off to the left or flying off to the right. If you start to know about bees, it seems that the bees that come back having found some good honey in some beautiful flowers somewhere, they do a little dance apparently, and this little dance shows the bees who are leaving to go and look for honey where to fly to, which direction to fly. Yeah. I mean, of course, I don't really know how that works, but I mean, it sounds pretty amazing, isn't it? How can the bees know where to go to get the honey? You see, because it's not honey flowers are not everywhere. So how does that work? And so, of course, the bees need to have something where they can be directed. And I'm told that this is through one bee who knows where the goodies are, dancing a little dance for the other bees who are on their way out of the hive. And as we've been, in a way, learning more and more about honeybees, we've discovered all kinds of amazing things. I think we have like 3 boxes, one on top of the other. And in those 3 boxes, I don't know, you can tell me better, there's maybe 5 million bees or something. Is that right?
There are
30,000 bees, maybe.
In one hive are 40 till 80,000.
We've lost your sound, actually.
Oh, in one hive is 40 to 80,000.
Now can you say all that again? Because it didn't work. Now it's working.
It's 40 to 80,000 bees per hive.
Thousand, not millions.
No, not millions.
Okay, so 40,000 bees. That's already a lot, I think.
Oh my God. And I got stung today in my face.
Yeah?
I see it a bit and it looks funny.
Okay. And of course, she's our beekeeper, but she doesn't wear this sort of beekeeper's hat with a thing in the front. She just goes there, as she's wearing now, she goes there, and this is already your second sting, I think.
Yeah, but
right. It's all right. Okay. So, shall we go on with somebody else, or you have something else you'd like to say?
No, it's good.
Good. Okay. Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to share on this theme? I'm sure Victoria has got a lot to say, actually. So Victoria is not really a very mature spiritual person. She somehow came to our community about a month ago, I think it was, in some kind of slightly unexplained way. Maybe you'd like to briefly tell us. And she was very, very touched. She was so touched that she didn't even want to go on our holiday to Greece, you see. And now she's on the holiday she's in fact come onto this meeting. So what do you think was touched, Victoria?
Yeah, it's difficult to explain. I think it's just like a magnet, and I will always want to go deeper, and I learned a lot of new things. I thought like it's normal to have a normal life and to have like job, a husband, kids, and do all the normal things. And then I saw another way, and I always wanted this to go this way, but I didn't know that this exists. So
Maybe
I
you tell
decided
people
to
just
go
a
my
tiny
way
bit of
and
your
to try
history,
to
because
get rid of these conditions.
you're actually a Muslim lady, yeah?
So my
Which
mom is
country?
Russian, and yes, I'm from Syria.
Syria, right. And I
So
remember
my
me
mom is
telling us,
Russian, my father is Syrian, yes, and
I remember you telling us how your best girlfriend used to tell you, why aren't you wearing, I don't know the name, but this kind of thing over the hair? You mustn't show your hair, I think, yeah? If you're a Muslim lady.
yes, she's still doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult to just be born in such a community or in such society, and I still have friends there and I feel connected with them, but it doesn't it doesn't suit me anymore, so it's a little bit difficult to explain that to friends and family, that I don't want this anymore, and I just want to run away.
So what do you think happened in your life that brought you in contact with this strong feeling that you don't want all these conditioned ideas, all these Muslim ideas, what you should wear, what you shouldn't wear? I mean, it wasn't that many years ago in Syria, I think, that the women would be in the house looking through the window. They had balconies with special windows, if I remember, in many Muslim countries. Is that right? Where the women would only be behind the screens on the balcony.
I think it was my mother, because she was like really strong, happy woman, and she always wanted us to get out of Syria and just to live the life and not stay under these conditions. As she couldn't run away, she wanted to leave Syria too many times, but she had 5 kids and it was very difficult with her family too. So after her death, I thought too many times about how I want my life to look like, and I just want to live.
Right. And have you had some moment which you could say is a deeply touching moment in your life? What you could find to be the most beautiful moment of your life? Have you had such a moment?
It was in Greece, to be honest, last year. We were in a
Yeah.
boat. We rent a private boat, and like we drive for one and a half hour. We were very tired, and then we saw a big mountain, and nobody swim there. But we decided just to jump in the water, and I saw all the fishes, the sun, and it was very amazing, and I felt very attached and free.
Right, right.
So this moment, like, is still, I keep repeating it in my mind.
But when you talk about the water and the these are on the outside, but what was happening to you on the inside? What was there something really deeply touching on the inside that maybe you couldn't understand in that moment?
So in that moment, I didn't have any thoughts, any feelings. I just lived the moment.
Right. Right.
So there was nothing in my mind.
Lived the moment.
Just
You see, you
completely
just lived
free.
the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And you didn't do anything to just live the moment, did you? Not really. It just happened. This was a moment of deep love and peace, I would suggest. And even you don't maybe put words like love and peace onto that moment, but you know that moment. It's something you know inside you, something very familiar, in fact. And it just happened, and now you can talk about it a year later because it was a special moment in your life. And so the kind of movement that maybe started with your mother, and now yourself, you're living in Germany and so on, and you're not wearing the Muslim headscarf, and probably you caused your husband some problems. And it's like, in a way, once you've tasted, this is the taste of enlightenment, you can say. I mean, I wouldn't use that word enlightenment, but effectively, this is a taste of enlightenment. It's a glimpse of your true nature. And this true nature led you to see you just want to live the moment and the moment and the moment. And you don't want to live this moment with conditioned ideas, because these conditioned ideas are basically dirty. These Muslim ideas, for example. I mean, excuse me, you might get upset when I say this, but in all my years, I've never been interested in connecting to Muslim, because it's just a horrible, so excuse me, but it's a kind of horrible religion, I think. And it has horrible, how can I say, expressions, And not only Muslim, of course, all the religions are one of the very, very strong, powerful conditionings which we get in whichever country. For example, now we have a house in Spain, and without realizing it, we discovered how deeply the Roman Catholic Church has conditioned Spanish people. So that for Spanish people, and we have one or two Spanish tonight, or we have Louisa anyway from Spain. It's deeply entrenched, this Catholic conditioning, you see. Very, very difficult to shrug it away. And the only way we can really get free of those kind of deep conditionings which are passed down through the generations is to start to really look inside, to bring our whole power into being aware. And when it happened to you, it was a spontaneous moment. You didn't even use your awareness. You just said thank you. Just said thank you. And already, you see, 1 year later, this has started to, for example, this same energy has started to guide you to come to this community here, to meet John David, to decide you want to be involved, to not be in the party and be on this meeting tonight. This is very beautiful. And it came out of that moment maybe 1 year ago when you were so touched from the moment. It wasn't really that the fish and the sun, and that was all part of it, but you were really just touched from being deeply in contact with some mystery which is inside. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I know it now. I didn't know it then, but I know it now, yes.
Right, yeah. And you see, you're obviously an unusual person because you came maybe out of the influence of your mother, whatever it was, what you were saying. But you see, you had this moment, and probably your husband had the same moment because he was there with you, or I don't know if he was, but whoever's with you. But maybe they didn't have the same priority that you've now got, you see, because inside you, probably you have some, you could call it positive conditioning from your mother, that makes you want to have no fear, to have no fear to move in a sort of priority to what you discovered 1 year ago. And as you have this energy or single-pointedness towards that, of course, it will get revealed to you. I mean, you're going to go on a journey now, this sort of inner journey. And this inner journey is very, very beautiful. And gradually we realize that the truth or the freedom that we're looking for is not on the outside, it's actually on the inside. And therefore we have to make like a 180-degree turn and take our attention from the outside to the inside. Okay. Okay, I've got some strange voice in my computer wanting to help me. Probably I need some help. Okay, somebody else like to dialogue a little bit, share a little bit? So I'm going to invite Krishna because he's looking very happy tonight. So Krishna showed up one day in our community. If you say something, Krishna, you'll be on the screen now.
Yes.
Okay. So Krishna showed up about 6 months ago, I think now, was it? The end of last year, you showed up in our community. And when volunteers come into the community, we always take a picture, like a portrait. And this is because very often people go through lots of changes. So it's always nice to have the original picture. And usually I get sent all these pictures. So before I get physically meeting people, I already have a kind of introduction. And I remember when I looked at your picture, you looked a lot like you are tonight. And when I saw this picture, I thought, aha, aha, you see? And then he came to one of our volunteer weeks and he's never left. I think that's right, yeah? You basically decided after maybe 2 or 3 days that this was exactly what you felt was right for you. And you somehow had the possibilities of being able to drop whatever was happening in your life outside. And just conveniently, you'd left your wife, I think maybe a year before, something like that. And you had some income from some apartments you owned, so you had some money. It all fitted, and you just stayed, yeah? And now he's got this beautiful smile, and you had this smile, I would say, when you arrived in the community. And now I would say your smile has become more, how can I say, grounded or real, something like real, because in the beginning, if you remember, this smile sometimes was only a kind of face, you know, it was like a kind of mask, you could say. But I don't find that there now. Is that right for you?
Yes. In the beginning, yes. It felt like I wanted to smile to not go too deep, maybe. But it changed a lot because I feel in a field of real beauty, of real love. I experience that now a little bit more, and it's so great for me. It carries me so far. It just can leave many things behind. I can watch a sunset and be absolutely happy. Don't know what to say afterwards, but absolutely happy.
And do you notice
Meeting.
what's happening inside when you have that moment that you're talking
Yes.
about?
there's so much energy coming towards me. It feels like an overwhelming, like inside a big wave, carries me away, and in another moment I come up again, and that's it.
Right, right. Yeah, we've got a very tough job for you in the summer this year to stay in Denia and become the gardener there. Do you think you can handle that, or you won't like all that sunshine?
I will handle it.
Huh?
I'm
You can
not
handle
completely
it?
sure. Of course, there are doubts, but I will handle it. Yes.
Of course, yeah, yeah. Yeah. And how is your physical situation? You had an operation now, what, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah. In yoga, I'm still lying on the floor like a deaf monkey or something. I don't know. I can't move, but I share it and I experience through yoga. I also profited a lot from the beginning. I could move. I could feel, could could feel that place which is wounded, and just find my way to move up, to move down, to get more back into life with my body, which was really wounded in a way. But it feels nice and it feels good. I respect much more the boundaries. I'm not carrying hard and still working a lot. So it's really nice. Get a lot of support also.
Right, right. Good. Okay. That's Krishna. It's a good name for you. Okay. So we have time for a couple more, I think. Would somebody else like to share? Okay, Parvati.
Yes,
If you,
I can, yeah, I can say in my case, existence took me. When I was 48, I was still in the conditioning to become happy with the husband. And but then existence took me and made a 180-degree change in my life. And what I can say, before I came to the community, I was living 3 years alone. After I divorced after 22 years with my husband, and I need also this time to make this change. And in this time, I wrote down what I want without allow the mind to make any doubts. I just wrote down what I want. Somebody should cook for me. Somebody should shopping for me. All this is what I want. And after half a year in the community, I noticed that all this happened because in this time I was not in the kitchen. So Raj was shopping, somebody was cooking, everything what I wrote down in this time without my mind was telling who should cook for you, what kind of life should this be. I couldn't imagine before, but I often also now, I often think I said yes in the right moment, whatever comes from existence. And also still it is like this. No? If you say yes in the right moment, then you sometimes often surprised what happened in your life. Now, if you don't allow your mind to have doubts or judgments about what you don't know. And for me, it's mostly from where I look at situation is the heart area. If I need to make decisions, it's not the mind. Yeah, and so this is very beautiful to live like this. Even I cook like this.
right. Yeah, I mean, I mean, now you're going to cook for, I don't know, 25 or 30 people with the community people together.
Mm-hmm.
And this is needed maybe in a certain time and, whatever. And now you can do it without even thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I went much easier. Everything is much easier than before when you do it with the mind and so on.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Right. Good. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe let's see, at least one more, maybe two more. Maybe we invite Bhakti, if you'd like to, Bhakti, from Ukraine. She and her husband, I'll point out her husband if I can find him. Where is
Где
he?
муж?
Oh, there, over here. Here's her husband, Hanuman, and here is Bhakti. So Bhakti and Hanuman and their two children are running the Tripedia Retreat Center that we've been developing outside Kiev. And recently, Bhakti had a very exciting moment because she owns a house in the south of Ukraine. I've forgotten which town, but anyway, one of the towns the Russians have occupied. Which one?
No, translate.
Да. Let me translate. Вот это Бхакти, Хануман, и там двое деток, они сейчас занимаются нашей коммуной в Триполье. И недавно у Бхакти была такая ситуация впечатляющая. У нее есть дом в Херсоне.
В Мелитополе.
Ой, в Мелитополе. Okay.
Okay, right. So this is actually what the town, one of the towns that the Ukrainians would love to get back, because it's on the special sea, it's on the coast, so it's an important town. And Bhakti has a very lovely house there. I've been to her house there. And unfortunately, what's happening is that the Russian, I don't know, the organization of the Russian army or whatever, they're just taking over those kind of houses unless you can really prove that it's your house. So her son, it's your son, I think, and your mother are living in the house. Is that right?
Да, я let me translate. Что типа у Бхакти есть дом, который, в Мелитополе, он там на море находится. Джандей говорит, что он там был. Очень красивый дом, и сейчас эта территория, она оккупированная, и там русские, они типа они хотят как бы захватить это свою как бы собственность, и надо как-то доказать, что этот дом принадлежит, и у тебя там сейчас, по-моему, мама и брат. Да?
Да.
And so suddenly she was taking a train to Poland and then flying to Zurich, I think. Was it Zurich in Switzerland? Where did she go to?
Где ты была?
Geneva.
Варшава, потом Женева, так.
Geneva.
Geneva, okay. And you were able to go to the Russian embassy and arrange the papers?
И у тебя получилось отправиться в русское посольство и сделать там какие-то документы?
Да, мы сделали очень как бы быстро все. Человек, который это все нам оформлял, он очень русский, очень хотел.
О, ты пропала, Бхакти. I think she's frozen now.
Can you translate, Dima?
Yeah, she started to tell the story that everything went well. They went to this embassy and there was some guy who helped them with the papers. But then, now she's back. Продолжи, что дальше было?
И он как бы так вот проникся очень нашей ситуацией. Вот, все нам оформили очень быстро. Спасибо, все хорошо.
Okay. And this guy in the embassy, he could understand their situation and he was like happy to help them and they could make all the papers they needed.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have one son living in the house?
А сын живет в доме сейчас, да?
Да, с бабушкой, с мамой моей, да.
Yes, with the grandmother.
Right.
With her mother.
Okay, good. And what about your other son? Is he still doing this work, distributing food to people who need support?
А что по поводу твоего второго сына? Он еще занимается этой работой? Потому что
Да,
с
второй сын сейчас вот мобилизуется уже со следующего месяца. Он в аэроразведке в Запорожье.
And
Служит,
my
да.
second son, he's joining the military forces next month.
Military forces.
Yeah,
Okay.
Да.
something with aviation.
Okay. Okay. So Hanuman has been sitting there very quietly, and he has a picture behind him of a well-known revolutionary, spiritual revolutionary in the wall behind him. And as I said, he with Bhakti and their two children, they're keeping this retreat center and hotel running, which we've been creating over, I think, about 12, 15 years now. We've been creating this place, very beautiful place. So would you like to say something, Hanuman?
И мы видим на экране также Ханумана, который тихо сидит, и за его спиной картина известного такого тоже духовного революционера Рамана Махарши. И, как я говорил ранее, что вот Бхакти с Хануманом и двумя детками, они занимаются нашим центром, который мы строили 12 лет или 15. Вот, Хануман, может, ты хотел бы тоже поделиться чем-то?
So much thanks, JD.
Well, we of course feel the same about you and Bhakti, you know, about thanks, because it's amazing how you stayed there, and you've now been since more than a year providing a kind of safe place for people who want to leave Kiev, particularly at the weekend. I think a lot of people come and stay in your hotel, and this has been going on now for more than a year, of course, from last February, so it's almost a year and a half, yeah. And I'm sure it's been a very strong time for you.
И это взаимно по поводу благодарности. Я тоже чувствую ее в отношении вас, потому что вы там, больше года уже находитесь и тоже оказываете помощь людям, которые там приезжали или приезжают. И это взаимно.
И я бы хотела сказать вот по поводу вот обусловленности, вот в ролика, который ты показывали в начале.
Говори.
Переводишь?
Давай дальше, я потом.
Я поняла. Вот, по поводу ролика, который показывали в начале, очень как бы, да, страшно, когда все наши обусловленности, это как бы основа, да, нашей нашей жизни, которую мы вот строим, да, мы маленькие, растем на этих обусловленностях, у нас есть какие-то основы, потом жизнь нам дает еще какие-то обусловленности, и очень страшно, когда вот эти все основы, они рушатся. Вот, и это очень страшно, это, в общем-то, прекрасно по-своему.
Давай я переведу. And Bhakti would like to say regarding the conditioning and this short videos that we watched in the beginning, she says that all this conditioning that we grow up with, when they disappear or let go, it's also a scary moment. It's a beautiful moment, but also a scary moment at the same time.
Yeah, this is a very good point, actually. And this is why this deep, important spiritual work, it may be bringing beautiful results. But of course, if you've been brought up as a Roman Catholic, or you've been brought up as a Muslim or a Hindu, for all your life, and then, you know, you've had some kind of clear seeing, and you start to do the work of letting this stuff go away, and you see how you become more empty inside, and there are less conditioned thoughts attacking you every day. Of course, there is an enormous possibility of being really afraid, bringing up a lot of fear, deep fear, because it's as if your life is disappearing in some way.
Да, это очень важный момент, который ты говоришь, потому что, да, если мы всю жизнь прожили в этих обусловленностях, и они исчезают, это может породить сильный страх.
Yeah, thank you.
И это тоже пройдет.
And this too will pass.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I think maybe we'll stop to talk. Maybe we watch this film one more time. It's only 1 minute, and then I will say good night. So, Om, can we put the film on again, and I'll make it big again.
Sure. You know what is so funny? I have this ring, the ring that you were talking about. I have that.
You have it?
Yeah, I have the ring, and it says, "This too will pass." It's engraved in the ring.
Really?
And it's really funny. One morning I was getting up, and I had the thought, I would really like to have a big silver ring, you know. And then I went down into the kitchen. Sure enough, somebody came to me, gave me the silver ring, and said, "A guest left that in the bathroom. You can have it." And it was literally 10 minutes after I thought I want to have this ring, somebody came and gave me this ring. It's really funny.
Can you make translation again?
Okay, so can you bring on the screen the film?
Yeah, 1 sec.
We were brought up in our families to believe that what society is offering us is the life. And around this life, this society life, there's a few funny people called artists. And then around the other side, there's a few funny guys called revolutionaries or political somethings or terrorists or something, yeah? But in the middle, there's a big kind of habit, enormous habit. And we're all brought up inside this habit. We have a mummy, we have a daddy, we have a family, we have a job, we have a car, we have a house and a mortgage. We work for our whole life to pay off the mortgage. If we're lucky, we retire with a little pension and we go to live in Spain or something. And then, like happy little robots who've been nicely conditioned, we just then do that life, you see. Why do you want to live in prison? Why not do what you really want to do?
Okay, so nice evening, and thank you very much. And I think we have a meeting next week. Do we know what night it is next week?
Thursday.
Thursday, so today's Thursday. So exactly in 1 week we have a meeting, and then in the day or two later after that meeting, we are offering here a weekend. We do it every year for 1 weekend. Everybody who'd like to is able to come for free, stay the weekend, and we offer different workshops, some musical things, some paintings, Shakti, I think she's gone now, but she's going to do a, oh, is that Shanti? Yes, Shanti. So Shanti's going to do some clay modeling, and we'll show maybe a film. I will give some talks, and generally we have a pretty lovely weekend. So you're all invited, of course, and that's not this weekend, but it's the following weekend. So if you can come, welcome. Okay.